Top 10 Notorious Women Serial Killers. Welcome back to Twisted Tales. Today, we're exploring a darker side of history, one that challenges common assumptions about crime and human nature. When people think of serial killers, names like Ted Bundy or Jack the Ripper usually come to mind. But history tells a more complex story. Some of the most disturbing criminal cases involve women whose actions shocked entire nations. From medieval Europe to modern America, these are 10 of the most notorious female serial killers in history. Let's begin. Number 10. Elizabeth Báthory, the Blood Countess. Born in 1560 into Hungarian nobility, Elizabeth Báthory lived a life of wealth and influence. After marrying a powerful military commander, she moved into Székely Castle, a remote fortress that would later become central to her legend. Following her husband's death, accusations began to surface. Young servant girls reportedly disappeared after entering her household. Witnesses claimed they were mistreated and abused. One of the most infamous legends suggests Báthory believed bathing in blood would preserve her youth, though historians still debate the accuracy of that claim. Eventually, after daughters of noble families were reported missing, the King of Hungary intervened. Her accomplices were executed. Báthory herself, due to her status, was confined within her castle until her death in 1614. To this day, her story sits somewhere between documented crime and dark folklore. Number 9. Leonarda Cianciulli, the soap maker of Correggio. Leonarda Cianciulli's life was shaped by personal tragedy. Of her many pregnancies, only 4 children survived to adulthood. She became intensely protective of them, especially her son Giuseppe. As World War II loomed, Giuseppe prepared to join the army. Convinced that sacrifice would somehow ensure his safety, Leonarda committed a series of murders in her own neighborhood. She later confessed to killing 3 women. Authorities discovered disturbing evidence inside her home, including items tied to the victims. Leonarda was sentenced to 30 years in prison and later committed to a mental institution. Her case remains one of Italy's most unsettling criminal stories. Number 8. Aileen Wuornos, the highway killer. Aileen Wuornos was born in 1956 in Michigan and endured a troubled childhood. As an adult, she worked as a sex worker in Florida. Between 1989 and 1990, 7 men were shot and killed. Wuornos claimed self-defense, saying the men had assaulted her. The courts ultimately rejected that defense. Evidence, including pawn shop receipts and fingerprints, linked her to the crimes. She was convicted and sentenced to death, and in 2002, she was executed. Her life later inspired books and the film Monster, sparking debate about trauma, justice, and responsibility. Number 7. Amelia Dyer, the baby farmer. In Victorian England, baby farming was a grim reality. Desperate mothers paid caretakers to raise unwanted infants. Amelia Dyer operated as one of these caretakers. Over 2 decades, she was linked to the deaths of hundreds of babies, many of whom were neglected or intentionally killed. She avoided capture for years by moving frequently and using aliases. Eventually, evidence traced back to her after a body was recovered from the River Thames. In 1896, Amelia Dyer was executed. Her case led to stronger regulations around child welfare and adoption practices. Number 6. Juana Barraza, the Silent Lady. Known professionally as a wrestler in Mexico City, Juana Barraza led a double life. Posing as a social worker, she targeted elderly women in their homes. Authorities initially believed the suspect was a man due to eyewitness descriptions. In 2006, Barraza was arrested after being caught near a crime scene. She was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to hundreds of years in prison under Mexican law. Her case remains one of the most significant serial investigations in Mexico's history. Number 5. Jane Toppan, the poisonous nurse. Jane Toppan worked as a nurse in Massachusetts during the late 1800s. She later admitted to intentionally administering fatal doses of medication to dozens of patients, claiming she wanted to experience a sense of control over life and death. In 1901, after several suspicious deaths in one household, an investigation led to her arrest. She confessed to 31 murders, but was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She spent the rest of her life in a psychiatric institution. Number 4. Nanny Doss, the giggling granny. Nanny Doss appeared cheerful and unassuming, earning her nickname from her constant smiling. Behind that smile, investigators uncovered a pattern of arsenic poisonings. Over several decades, she was linked to the deaths of multiple family members, including husbands. In 1955, she pleaded guilty to one murder and received a life sentence. Her story highlights how manipulation and trust can sometimes mask darker intentions. Number 3. Miyuki Ishikawa, the midwife of death. Miyuki Ishikawa was a midwife in Japan during a time of economic hardship and limited social support. She and her associates were accused of neglecting infants born to struggling families. Authorities later discovered dozens of bodies connected to her facility.
The evidence clearly demonstrates
She was convicted,
the defendant's intent,
but received a
Your Honor.
relatively
The
light
defense's argument
sentence,
holds no weight.
sparking national outrage and prompting reforms in Japan's social welfare and reproductive laws. Her case remains controversial and historically significant. Number 2. Dorothea Puente, the deceptive landlady. Dorothea Puente ran a boarding house in Sacramento for elderly and disabled tenants. She collected their Social Security payments, and when residents began disappearing, suspicion grew. In 1988, police uncovered multiple bodies buried in her yard. She was convicted on several counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Her case serves as a reminder that danger doesn't always look threatening. Number 1. Lavinia Fisher, the enigmatic legend. Lavinia Fisher is often described as America's first female serial killer, though historians question that claim. She and her husband ran a hotel in South Carolina in the early 1800s. Some legends suggest travelers vanished after staying there. Others argue she was only involved in robbery. What is certain is that she and her husband were convicted of highway robbery, a capital crime at the time, and executed. Whether she was truly a killer or the subject of exaggerated folklore remains a mystery. These stories span centuries and continents, each one raising unsettling questions about motive, psychology, and justice. If this deep dive into history kept you listening, make sure to follow Twisted Tales for more true crime and historical mysteries. Let us know which case surprised you the most and which story you'd like us to explore next. Until next time, stay curious and stay aware.